man, it's a long count.
Welcome to Safe Space. This is Pastor D, your prophetic purpose pusher. Once again, love and marriage, redemptive story. We call these grace stories. Today at the table, I have some special guests in studio. All of our guests have been special because their stories have been so beautiful, so life changing. And one of the reasons this table and this space was created is for us to talk about marriage, love. And this is not the sum total of this table and these conversations, but because Barna's survey came out that stated that 60%, over 60% of Christian marriages are ending in divorce, is something to talk about. And that 70% of the generation Alpha A is shacking up and enjoying the blessedness of marriage without the covenant and the vow. So when things are affecting or infecting our space, it's time for conversations. And so we're talking to people who are still married. We're talking to people that are navigating the covenant. And so I have the Daniel, Chandell, Daniel. Oh my goodness, you came to my table. There is a Holy Ghost. And now we're calling this man of God over here evangelist. Oh, Evangelist Daniel, I like that. I'm kind of jabbing at him because he's been running for a long time. Pastor, you go ahead and do that. I'll just make the money. I'll make the money and finance the church. You know what? I'm not, you know what? Me, you and my wife can do all the praying. And so we have them at our table, and I love God because I've watched him grow. Of course, he came from a Christian mama who I happen to call mama too, right? So he's my brother. So when people hear him say sis, it's not a disrespect. He's just saying sis because I call his mama. And I will tell her on him. I hope she's listening. Hello, Apostle Danielle. You know, you're a mighty woman of God. And so I have the Daniel. So please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Pastor, for this opportunity. My name is Chandell Daniel. We've been married for 26 and a half years.
She put the half in.
So, you want me to tell them how we...
1 second, he let the man introduce himself. Okay. I want to hear all the good stories. Give me some secrets. No, just kidding. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
My name is Ed Daniel, and I'm happy to be here, sis. Woman of God. And I'm here to say thank you and happy to be in this space, to have time to talk and impart to people. We love them all. And I want to show things of God.
Amen. Amen. So now we're going to hear the love story. Oh, I love the love story. Talk to me about this Ed. What you call him?
I call him Sugar Bear.
Sugar Bear. The evangelist is called Sugar Bear, the minister. Sugar, I love that. I love that because everybody has a name. Sugar Bear. And tell me, when is it that you met before you became Sugar Bear? Tell me the meeting.
Well, actually, we saw each other in church when Reggie...
I love these church stories. I mean, people go to church. Go to church. Go to church. See, all of our stories, people met in church. Who says there's not a good man or a woman in church? Okay, so you met in church.
Yes, we saw each other in church when my son was 1 month old, Reggie.
Okay.
But we actually didn't communicate until there was a church picnic that was canceled.
Okay.
So our bishop, we had a church picnic, but it was raining so bad. They said it was going to be a storm. But my mother and my mother-in-law was like, no, we're gonna have this picnic because we made all this food. So at the time, my mother was on my mother-in-law evangelistic team.
Okay.
So the team basically came out and had the picnic. And he loved my son. He always brought candy to my son at church.
Oh, so that was your drawing stuff. Oh, you were fishing. Talk to me about this evangelist over here. He invading your baby. Okay, go ahead.
So when I just want to go back just a little bit.
Yes.
When I saw him in church years later, that's when we got to the picnic part.
Okay.
So when we met, we was in the car, and they was like, go with your husband, go with your husband. And he was like, why everybody say we're going to get married? I said, I don't know, right? But I kind of knew, but I didn't, I wasn't for sure.
Yes.
So we was in the car, we was talking. I was telling him I'm going to move to Charlotte. So he was like, yeah, I know some girls in Atlanta. I was like, looking at him like, I said I'm moving to Charlotte, not Atlanta. So, but make a long story short, he just dropped us off to the house, and I didn't hear from him for like 18 months.
Okay, 18 months. Hold that thought. So you over there, Ed, so you saw her, your mom is a mighty evangelist.
Yes.
When it wasn't proper for a female to be called an apostle, moving in signs and wonders and miracles and casting out devils and woo!
Yes.
I mean, yeah, just the thought of it, right? And you were a renegade, right? Talk to me about that.
Okay, so basically, renegade. I always recognized the Godhead and people being God. I did not want to offend God, but I still want to do my thing, right? And I had rules, and one of my rules was I don't mess with church girls. At least the real ones. So, and I just didn't want to be by. I just didn't. I had those rules and guidelines I was going by, so I didn't do that. And
So you're a man of principle.
principle,
Even though, because your mama, right?
yes,
Can know where you're at, sniff you out,
yes,
right?
yes.
So you had a guideline.
Yes.
I don't mess with holy rollers,
Mhm.
church girls that were truly saved.
Yes.
That was my. So go ahead,
Yes,
sir.
that's where I stopped. That's where I drew the line at. I was not going to have that. So I respected the church,
Yes.
and I respected, even though some things with my mom's that I seen wasn't being accepted. But however, that's another whole story.
Yes.
But I was not going to talk to her then. I was still out running the streets, and I knew I wasn't ready to be married because I recognized the things of God and I honored the things of God. Even in my sin, I knew what was not right.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Go ahead, continue, sir.
So, so then I spoke to her. We were at so I seen her when Reggie was getting Christian, and this was going back. So then I was still in the military then, and I came home. Her mom used to make me. This is my side of the story. Her mom used to make.
Tell your story, sir.
Her mom used to make sweet potato pie.
Yes, she does.
And
Wait a minute, this is a pause break right here. Hallelujah. Okay, we just had a pause break. This is so inappropriate, but my goodness, I don't know why Patty doesn't have anything on her, right? Okay, so she missed her moment of visitation because I'm trying to tell you, she put both of her feet in those pies. Anyways, I can attest to that. My God.
We digress. So basically, so my mother's evangelistic team that she was at the house one time. I was home on leave, and I came home and I had the pie, and I said I was joking with some of the ladies there. They were a little older, and I was like, what's a couple of them were, and I said, ooh, whoever made this pie, that's doing. I need to find out how many you got to be doors. Got to have the recipe for this thing, right? So that some kind of way that word got back to my mother-in-law. And every time I came home on leave, I always have sweet potato pie.
She was sowing the seed.
Sowing the seed.
Oh, I love the seed. Tell you the power of the seed.
Like clockwork.
It don't have to be just money.
Like clockwork.
The pie was working.
I was working. So then we get to so now we're going my rendition of with the picnic event.
Yes.
So when I came home, even when I was coming home to visit, I was still seeing Reggie. And there's a couple of kids in the church, but there was only one of them that was really standing out, going around. and all the women in church were. He was a church baby.
Yeah.
Everybody loved him. So there were a couple of people I was looking at, not women, and then some relationships. And Reggie was going over there, and I said, "Hey, Reggie, get her the candy." And I used to not really bet, but I would kind of like bet. Hey, the guy next to me, his name was Doug. Say, "Hey, Doug, I bet you she eat this marshmallow, this caramel marshmallow. I bet you she'd go for that, right?" Oh man, she don't go for that. $5. So it was $5. So we get over there. We send Reggie over there. Reggie gets it, and the girl picks exactly what I want. I said, "I want my money." He said, "No, double or nothing." He gets Reggie come back again. He gives him some peppermints. I said, "That's old people stuff. That's the old church stuff, right?" So they're not gonna go for that. So it was teenage girls and then girls that was my age like that. So then so we had some things going on with that, but we was using Reggie. She never knew that. So
just now finding out.
so we used Reggie. Reggie was all game for him because he had a pocket full of candy when it's all said and done. So I think we was all good, right? So now let's fast forward to the picnic. So we get to the picnic, and these same women I was talking about, the sweet potato pies, now they're chattering. They're chattering, talking about, yeah, they make a good couple. So now they start talking about who we gonna go be with. So my sister said, "Hey, that's your wife." I said, "Huh? Wait, what wife? I mean, look, we're not even having those conversations, right? I'm not ready to be married yet." So that's where we get there, and I take her home, and then I'm going back to Atlanta because I'm out in the military. I'm back home. Went to the picnic, and now I came back from Georgia Tech, and I came, and then once I completed that, I said I'm going back to Atlanta because I didn't really feel comfortable back in Buffalo anymore, right? So that's where we were. I took her home in the car, and Reggie was in the back, and I was like, "I know you got another child," and she's like, "Oh yeah, he's not here. He's always he's gone every weekend." I'm like, okay. So I'm not feeling this much. I'm like, "Oh man, I'm not getting married. I'm not, another kid, 2 kids too. I can do better, right? Think that's what I'm thinking, right? But more so, I was not ready.
Yes.
Right? It wasn't necessarily better. Isn't more ready because nothing was wrong with it. I was like 2 kids, man, 2 different baby dads. No, I don't think I want to. That's a lot to take on. I see people do well with that. I see people not do well with that. And anyway, well, I'm thinking about this right now. Anyway, let me get out of here. I'm going to see another chick, right? So that's what I did. And then I flew, and then 2 weeks later, I left with Atlanta. So 18 months later, I come back home, and I say, I see her in church again. We're at church, and I'm like, okay, where those pies at, right? Because her mom kind of got slack on the pies. Hey, I'm back here, no pies. What's going on here? She? How many daughters? Actually, mother before. How many daughters she got on those pies? No, on the pies. How many daughters she got? She said, "Oh, she got 2. One got a lot of kids, right?" So I don't know. She definitely out. So then I said, "Well, I gotta get this recipe." So what did we say? I said, "Well, I'm going to church. I'm going to see what's going to happen." What did she say? I'm trying to remember what was the exact words. I can't remember the exact words. But we're together, and I made a call to the house, and my father-in-law answered the phone, and I said, "Can I speak to Chandell?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "You know what? Let me go get him." I can hear him laughing, right? He finally succumbing to the women because he's in the chatter too as well. I said, "Man, I'm not getting married. I ain't ready for marriage, right?" So then I started talking to Chandell because I tell him how it goes. So I'm at the point of decision when I'm back home, and I say, either I'm going back to Atlanta or I'm gonna be here. And I was talking to some females and stuff like that, and I didn't feel the same way anymore. It was a change when I came back home, and I wasn't the chasing wasn't fun anymore. The talking to different women, having multiple girls at the same time wasn't fun anymore. And I started looking at I know it's more than this. So then I looked around and I said, that's when I called the house and talked to my father-in-law. And he introduced Chandell. So Chandell, I called her. She said, "Who is this?" "Huh? You just wanna you don't want to talk. You know, huh?" She said on the phone, like, how long were you on the phone, babe? The first day?
Well, when I spoke with you, you called and you was like, "This is Dari." I'm like, "Dari who?"
Yeah, there you go.
Like you've been gone for 18 months. Daryl, who? I done moved on. No, talk to me.
Yeah.
That's your story.
At the time, for me, when I totally surrendered unto the Lord, and it was just God and my children. And I told the Lord.
So you had 2 children previously.
Yes.
And so now when you met him, both of your children were very young.
Yes.
Okay, so you have 2 babies. You're in church. Your mom is in church. And you now surrendered everything. He's been gone 18 months. So now you've made a decision independently to surrender everything to the Lord.
Yes. So
Talk to me.
So I made the Lord my husband. I said, Lord, I just made one prayer to him. I said, when I would send me the man you want me to be with, let him be saved, filled with the Holy Ghost. Let him love my children, and let him love me. So that was the top 3 right there. And so when he had called, because my mother-in-law used to always tell me that intercede for him because he was overseas, and I just started learning how to intercede, praying for people. So my focus was, I had single men, no kids, coming after me left and right. And I get them the side eye and be like, get out of here. I'm thinking about you. The Lord.
But you're from Buffalo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Lord have not sent you.
Yeah.
And when he had called me, I was like, what? He was like, that, Evangelist, Melinda, Daniel, so I'm like, oh, how you doing? And so we get to talk, and he said, if it's okay, we could come over. I could come over. I said, sure, you could come over. So as we was talking, we had so much in common, and we think just alike, and he met my kids, so he loved my child. And he knew I was a woman of God, and I was just so focused. But I thought he was just trying to get in my pants.
Mm-hmm.
So I just asked the question, what you want, some booty?
Yeah.
Because you ain't getting none. So he was like, whoa, no. I just really want
You put it on the table.
I put it on. I was just that blunt with him.
Yeah.
I said, listen, you're not going to come up here and try to
Take my goods.
Yeah, exactly. Because I have kids. Because I didn't want no men to be around my kids until I was married. I ain't having men coming in at my house. I didn't play that. And you're not going to play with my feelings. And he's like, no, it's not like that. It's not like that. I'm like, mm-hmm. So as time went on, we only been together within a month. He asked me to marry him.
Okay, wait a minute. This is a smooth operator. So the Holy Spirit done got a hold of you because this is not on your radar. I mean, she is bathing you in prayer. I mean, putting the oil on you when you are away on missions and handling the protecting us, in the military, doing your duty. And you didn't know that your mama was teaching her to how to oil you down in prayer, right? And so you called her, and when you dialed that number, you dialed your destiny.
Amen.
You dialed your destiny, and you asked to come over. She put the hammer down, and you liked that. That turned you on because you were like, okay, she's not putting no cut on it, no chase on it. I like her. Like, what you want? Is this what to call it? I'm a pastor. I can't say that anymore. So no. Are you looking for a booty call? I mean, because there ain't no free stuff. I got my kids, but ain't no free candies going on up out of here, right? Because don't be looking at my kids and projecting that you think this is what this is going to be. So you talk to her and you have things in common. Talk to me about the decision.
So basically, what some people don't really realize is that when you transition off the military, there's some adjustments you have to make. And depending on what type of exposure you had in the military, combat, things of that sort, people passing away around you, you have different contexts in your mind. I was dealing with some of those things as well. And but one of the things that you really realize when you encounter death is that life is short. It can be gone at any time. So my mind I was dealing with that for 18 months, and I was getting to a place where I had to make my life mean something. And so, because what I was doing wasn't satisfying anymore.
So let me just paint the picture for people. Here you are, a serviceman. You have seen all kinds of stuff. So how fragile life is at the forefront of your mind, like here today, gone tomorrow. And because of the kind of work that you do as a military man, you saw it all. And so now you're dealing with all this, and it took you 18 months now. You're fighting through all this emotional stuff, the fragility of life and death, and you could be here, and now you meet this beautiful chocolate woman who you've already made relationship with the children. We'll just say it's children in that context. And so now he has your heartstring, but you don't know. She's interceding for you, and you don't know. And this is independent. This is not to say, make him my husband. You know how we do in church. We see a man and that's God. No, she was just obeying under the instruction, learning to be an intercessor, to pray for you because you're in combat mission. And so that you could be protected. Yes. Man, I love the oil of prayer.
That's good to know.
And she didn't know that she was praying for her mate. And so you saw her 18 months of being apart, and you've already played the field. You know how the field look and the daisies look, and you're now in the valley of decision. And so talk to the audience as this. I love great stories, and the reason I love great stories because it's a different kind of story. You had children, and it did not disqualify you for a mighty man of God. Wow. And you didn't allow that to be a blockade for you to believe God for a man that can love you, love God first, love you and love your children. And that is so beautiful. And so now you came over and she acted like she didn't know you, Daryl who, Sugar Boo who, no. And then you saw her, you saw the value in her. Talk to the audience, and as you are helping people out there that have similar story, different story, or have lost hope, talk to them about how you pursued her.
Okay. So basically, when at the point of decision, I sat back and I was sitting there, and when I spoke to her, and I went to visit, there was a peace that I felt there that I wasn't getting anywhere else. I didn't feel comfortable with the other people anymore. I just felt comfortable with her, and I wanted to be around her even more. So basically, when that occurred, God was really dealing with me with my walk and what I'm doing. So I realized that she's a single mom and that she had a need, and more importantly, she loved God. And she had God first. Going to attending college with 2 kids and just trying to find a way to make it happen. So God was guiding her, and I could hear her praying. Sometimes I could hear her praying, and I could hear her praying even when I wasn't with her. I could hear her praying. So then I was like, I felt more and more comfortable. So I said, I don't take this marriage thing. I don't take this relationship lightly. I don't take the us interacting at church together lightly. How we present ourselves, because everything speaks. And I want to do right. And I said, I love the way you make me feel, and I love the way we interact together. A lot of commonality. And my state of mind and her state of mind is where a lot of people fall off at. They don't get to the state where excuse me, let me bring it back up a little bit. People don't feel the peace of God. When you're a Christian and once you're sealed, you can't find peace anywhere else except when you're in His will. And when you're in His perfect will, peace abounds even more. And in your soul, you long for that relationship. And that's what I was aware of, and that's what I knew. So that's when I proposed.
Wow, so that proposal came really fast. So you knew him because you're in the church that with his mom. You knew him, but were you surprised that the proposal came so fast?
Yes, I was a little surprised, but when he told me he loved me before I said I didn't even give you none, and he,
Okay,
I
so
was just being honest. Like it was not
Yes.
normal.
right,
You know what I'm
yes,
saying? It wasn't normal. And he said, I love you. I'm like, I ain't getting you none yet, boy. You know, so
yeah,
so I was caught off guard.
yeah,
And I was like, wow. And I asked the Lord because I still had my guard up.
yeah.
And I asked the Lord, I said, Lord, is he really for me? Because I don't want to mess this up. And I said, Lord, send me a sign. And after I prayed, my heart jumped. And I never felt that before in my life. I said, okay, he's the one. And so once we start seeing more each other, we goes to church. And everybody, the single girls, was upset.
The most eligible bachelor is with Chandell, the two kids.
Yes.
Oh, you see, I can tell that story, but it's your story. Haven't we seen that before? The upset girls, right? The virgins,
Yes.
the sanctified ones.
Yes.
So they were expecting that they were gonna get the pastor's son,
Yep.
and here comes this hussy. Here comes this. You know how they do?
Yeah.
They try to malign your character because they don't know your story.
Right.
And that's why I'm allowing you to tell your story about God's glory and redemption.
Yes.
And that you cannot be too far gone. So now here is this man, right? But what they don't know is that you've been praying for him independently. They don't
That's
know the
right.
covenant that you made with God. They don't know that your heart was open towards the Lord. They don't know that you weren't fishing or hooking, right? They didn't know that because they presumed that because you have two kids that you are a lady of the night, you have some sordid story. Because that's what people do. They are just so bad when it comes to creating stories in their mind. And so this man of God pursued you. You went to church, everybody upset.
Yes.
See, I know that story too. But it's not my story today, right? So they upset. And so talk to us. You went to church
So we went to church and we started sitting together
with your two kids.
with my two kids.
I love it. If I could take a break, but let's go on. Yes, yes.
So people just looking like, she's with him. He with her, you know. And so my mother-in-law was getting all kinds of calls.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I know those two. But it's your story. Yeah, go ahead.
So she was like, according to my husband, like, yeah, you know, they're calling my mother, and like, how did she get him? She was like, she prayed, you know. why he with her? She got two kids. He gonna have problems with the baby daddies, you know, all types of stuff. So I didn't pay attention to none of that. I know God sent me my husband, and I was so grateful, and I didn't care. So I had a small circle of friends, so I didn't, you know, their opinion didn't really make a difference to me. I didn't care.
So talk to me about your proposing. So okay, so we understand one thing about church. You gotta come over to church. You know, we have our own little stories too. Okay, we all not always praying and shouting and fasting and reading the Bible because it's human relationships, right? And people still come with their opinion. I love God. I love when God changed the plot. Ooh, you'll get that later, right?
Amen.
I love when God changed the plot or the promise comes into place. Woo! See, I could preach that, but we're not preaching today. So, in spite of all that, you love the peace that was priceless when you came around her. And now you are coming to church, sitting together. Because I've watched you with the kids. They are your kids. And it's a beautiful story. And so you're proposing. Talk to me about the proposal.
So my wife had a friend, and she was engaged for a number of years, 4 months before, about a couple of years before we even started dating. So we came into when I proposed, my ring didn't come when I wanted to do it, so I ended up doing it on my birthday, and or some kind of get together. When we I got on my knees and I said we had already engaged, but I wanted to make it official and I put the ring out. I put the ring. I just gave her the ring, and she saw the ring, and her friend was highly upset.
Wait a minute. So you said what before we take a break? You are now getting ready to propose after how long of dating?
Probably not even 6 weeks.
I love God. I mean, only God can do these kind of miraculous stuff. So 6 weeks into after not communicating for 18 months, right? He's on the altar, but he doesn't know that he's a sacrifice, right? I'm just kidding. And so 6 weeks after making a decision, because it takes the man to make the decision, right? It takes a woman to respond to the decisions, right? Because she got to make a decision, but it's a different kind of decision. So you made a decision 6 weeks that this is who I'm going to spend my life with, because marriage to you is important. I've watched you, I've seen how you deal with whether marriage covenant, church covenant, just covenant, period.
Yes.
And I can say that very, very without a shadow of doubt. So now 6 weeks in, the girls are talking, you're sitting together in church. So the devil knows, God knows, and the people knows. Woo. And then you're getting ready to propose. We are going to take a break. Wow, time has just ran. I cannot believe we're at the end of one episode. I know you're mad at me because we are interrupting, and you know you're going to have to tune in to hear the other part. I mean, they've been married for how long?
Almost 27 years.
Almost 27 years, and you're seeing redemption story at work. You are seeing God's handiwork. You're seeing that a polluted beginning and how powerful your ending can be, that your mistakes and your missteps don't have to be fatal or final, but that God can come and redeem your story and causes beauty out of ashes.
Amen.
And so this is Pastor D, your prophetic purpose pusher, saying stay tuned for episode 2 with the Daniel.